Eskom has warned that rolling blackouts may resume this winter despite a hiatus from load shedding for several months. This warning was delivered by CEO Dan Marokane during a press briefing that coincided with his 100th day in charge. For analysis, we're joined by Professor Sampson Mamphweli, head of the Energy Secretariat of the South African National Energy Development Institute. Prof. Sam, good to speak to you. Too good to, was I suppose, too long to last is what comes to mind.
Yeah, good evening to you and the viewers. So this is not new to some of us. It's something that we expected. It's kind of a warning to the nation to say expect that load shedding may or may not resume because the winter outlook for Eskom, which is also an outlook that some of us also determined when we were looking at the data, was that we will have at least stage 2 load shedding during winter, or at most it might be stage 5 load shedding. So we normally look at what are the reasons behind the current situation. One of the reasons is that Eskom has done quite a lot of work in terms of maintenance of the coal fleet in response to the President's Energy Action Plan, because it's got 3 parts: short-term measures, mid-term measures, and long-term measures. And on the short-term measures, the number one priority was to basically fix the coal fleet so that it can reach the energy availability factor of above 70%, and then we won't have load shedding, which is why even before Dan joined Eskom, there was a ramp up of maintenance of the coal fleet because government then gave Eskom about 256 billion rand to service their debt so that they can then be able to use their balance sheet to fix the coal fleet. So we have that energy availability factor improving to above 60%. It has been hovering around 60, 65%. Sometimes it was even going up to 70%. So that resulted in us not having load shedding, and that is one of the many reasons. The other big reason was that the demand obviously was low, hovering between 24,000 megawatts and 26,000 megawatts. Now the demand is increasing. We had a lot of solar energy coming on board as well. Because we had to, due to the government intervention of providing incentives for households to put up solar PV, we saw a rise in the installation of a household and business rooftop solar PV. We were sitting at about 6 gigawatts the last time I checked, and that was assisting Eskom, especially during the day when the sun is shining, because they were then able to generate reserves to deal with the evening peak. Going into winter, we have two things working against us. One is the fact that the sun won't be shining as much as it was doing, so we will lose a little bit of solar energy. The second one is that the demand is starting to increase. I saw that sometimes it was increasing by about 1,000 megawatts. We expect that it would reach about 34,000 megawatts. If it does reach about 34,000 megawatts, that's where we will start to have stage 1 and stage 2 load shedding. So that outlook is quite correct, but things are looking very, very good if you look at the fact that we've had about 70 days or so without load shedding, and it still continues. We expect that after this winter, things will gradually improve and load shedding will basically end, depending on obviously the energy availability factor of the coal fleet. Like Dan indicated, we are expecting about 3,000 megawatts to come on board from Medupi and Kusile and also the nuclear power station. If that happens, we may survive the winter with very little or no load shedding at all.
All right, let's talk about the unbundling of Eskom into separate units and that aim to improve efficiency. Is that why it's happening?
Yeah, so the unbundling of Eskom will assist in many ways. One, it will be easier or more efficient to run the various companies when they are smaller than the way they are now. Because as things stand, the problems in generation affect transmission and distribution, which is where we have a lot more problems in terms of the coal fleet that has not been performing well. Now, if we unbundle them, like what government is doing, then we have less problems in other two companies that can be easily and properly managed, while Eskom deals with the issues at generation level. That's one. The second aspect is that it will then open up the market as envisaged by government to say, let's open up the electricity generation market and allow the participation of independent power producers, more participation actually, because the IPPs are participating as things stand through the REAP program. But government is looking at an open and transparent kind of a market where the priority will basically be to ensure security of energy supply, which basically means that in that particular market, when Eskom runs out of generation capacity, government can procure, or Eskom, the transmission company, can procure from any other source to ensure that we don't implement load shedding. Instead, we bring in additional generation capacity from the IPPs, from whoever that may be having electricity at that particular point in time. It's something almost similar to what we see under the Southern African power pool, where countries that when they run out of electricity or project that they might run out of electricity, they go to the SAP and then they bid for electricity, and whoever has got electricity at that particular point that can close that gap at a particular price can then provide the electricity. So we see that the market will open up, and then we will have security of energy supply. And with the opening up of the market, there will be a lot more competition, and with competition comes lower prices. So it's a very good thing. It will be a very good thing for the consumers, because the National Energy Regulator will also be still be there to regulate the electricity price in the market. Where the prices are too high, the NERSA will basically protect the consumers. Where the prices are too low, NERSA will allow those kind of prices to go through. So the unbundling process is basically meant to protect the integrity of the grid, and also to ensure security of energy supply going forward.
Professor, what measures are being taken to reduce the financial strain caused by municipal debt?
So there has been some measures that were taken. One of the things that was done was to basically scrap the historical debt that the municipalities had. So the municipality would approach Eskom and say, we owe you 5 billion, for instance. And if you scrap this 5 billion, this is how we plan to pay for electricity going forward. And then there will be that kind of an agreement where the historic debt will then basically be scrapped, and then the municipality will start in a kind of a fresh slate to continue with the payment of electricity. That has worked in some municipalities to a certain extent, and for a certain period. And then we have seen a kind of a regress with various municipalities starting to even fail to service the new debt, which is quite low. And the municipal debt is now, the last time I checked, it was sitting at close to 80 billion rands, which is quite massive. And it's also part of the reasons why Eskom did not have enough financial resources to service the coal fleet for the sake of security of supply of electricity. So going forward, I think there's a need for government to look at how to deal with things such as your municipal debt in a manner that will not disadvantage Eskom, and also in a manner that will not disadvantage the consumers as well going forward.
Professor Sampson Mamphweli, Head of the Energy Secretariat at the South African National Energy Development Institute, I appreciate your time.